An athlete's ability to perform during competition absolutely is dependent upon their ability to focus in that moment. And if you clicked on this video, I imagine you already knew that, and you're here to learn a few simple exercises to help you elevate your focus. So let's not waste any time. Today, we're gonna get better. Hey, welcome back to Train with Perk. If you're new here and you're looking for the best mental performance tools, tactics, and advice, then make sure that you hit that subscriber button and that notification bell so that way you know the next time that I post a video just like this one. I also have a free gift for you for stopping by the channel today. I want you to get over to trainwithperk.com/free guide. If you're an athlete, a parent, or a coach, this guide is absolutely going to help either you as an athlete, or if you're a parent or a coach, it's absolutely going to help one of your athletes prepare 3 simple ways to help them prepare for their next big moment. Again, get over there real quick, trainwithperk.com/free guide. All right, let's dive in. So the first thing that you need to understand is that there's really 2 aspects of focus that we need to work on here today. The first aspect is just the ability to focus on a specific task. That part is probably pretty obvious, and we're absolutely going to get to that because I need to show you and I need you to help your mind understand what it's like to just lock in on one thing. The second aspect of focus that we're going to work on here today is how do we handle all those distractions? And this may even be a more important, a bigger aspect for you to focus on today, because oftentimes I see with athletes and performers, certainly focusing and dialing in really intently on one thing can be a challenge. But many times the bigger challenge is trying to handle all of those distractions that's around them. I mean, you just think about all the distractions that try and drag an athlete or a performer's mind away from where it should be. The crowd, the coach, what results are we getting? How are we playing? Mistakes that were made? Did we fail? What are people gonna think? Our own thoughts and our own emotions. Wow, that can be a lot to handle. So now we have 2 primary goals for today's video. The first is to teach you how to focus. The second is how do we handle distractions really efficiently. Let's start with the first. So the first exercise today is really the simplest way that I teach athletes of all levels to develop a really intense focus. And that exercise is called Count Your Breathing. And it is exactly how it sounds. We're trying to get your brain to dial into focusing on one specific task. And in this case, that task is your breathing. So you're gonna go in and out as 1, in and out as 2, in and out as 3. And then let's say you get to 3 and your mind wanders. Well, then you're gonna take out a pen and a piece of paper and you're gonna write down the number 3, and then you're gonna start over. Now this may seem and sound incredibly simple, and it is. It's a very simple exercise, but I think that after maybe about 10 minutes, which is what I would recommend that you do this exercise for, after about 10 minutes, you're gonna start to realize that maybe we don't have as much control over our focus as we think that we do. The biggest struggle that you're going to find with this exercise, and really what most people struggle with, especially athletes and performers, we're very achievement oriented. We really wanna be good at things right away, is that you're gonna start to find yourself fighting your mind. And this creates this really intense battle when athletes are trying to just sit there and lock in on just the one task of counting your breathing. It becomes really challenging for them because they start to battle their mind. Their mind wants to wander. And so they eventually tell themselves, things like, don't wander, don't think of something else. And then pretty soon, boom, what are they not thinking about anymore? They're not thinking about counting their breathing. So a better approach, and really what this exercise is trying to get you to do, is instead of being so worried about whether or not your mind is going to wander, really center your focus on just one thing. And you think about how this applies to you in your sport, or you, if you're a performer, in your performance. That's exactly what we try and do. We try and lock our mind in on one thing, but maybe in the past we've struggled with other distractions. So maybe there's those little thoughts of, oh gosh, I hope I don't think about that, or I hope my mind doesn't wander there. And then as soon as that happens, where is our mind at now? Well, it's no longer on the task at hand. So many of you are going to find that this exercise is actually pretty hard. This simple little exercise of just dialing in and locking into focusing all of your mental energy on just counting your breathing, you're going to struggle with it. And the reason that you're going to struggle with it is it's really twofold. The first is that the natural state of our mind is to wander. And you think about also the world that we live in, that's the second big thing. The world that we live in doesn't really make us on a day-to-day basis really lock in and focus on one thing for an extended period of time. If we get bored, we even try and distract ourselves. We have our cell phone, we have our computer, there's the internet on the computer, there's hundreds of thousands of apps on your cell phone. And so we just don't live in a world that forces us to truly just lock in on one thing for an extended period of time. So understand that this exercise is going to require a lot of patience. You're going to have to be patient with yourself because the natural state of your mind, you haven't spent a ton of time doing anything like this. So it's a little undisciplined. Actually, it's probably pretty undisciplined. So you're going to struggle with it, and that's okay. But the more you work on it, the more you're actually training your mind and training yourself to start to be able to recognize, where is my focus at in any given moment? Is it on the right thing? And you're able to really create a deep sense of focus on one thing for an extended period of time, because that's exactly what you ask yourself to do when you go into a sport performance. So many athletes expect that when they walk onto the court, the field, the ice, whatever it may be, the dance floor, so many athletes expect themselves to just 100% lock in on one thing and to really handle distractions well, when in fact, that's not how we operate in our day-to-day life. So how can you expect your mind to be able to do that if you don't put any time into teaching it how? All right, so remember that first exercise, count your breathing. I want you to try and do that for 10 minutes a day. The second exercise that we're going to work on is going to be working on specifically handling distractions really efficiently. And if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, is that at any given time, at any given moment, our focus can only ever be in one of three places: the past, the present, or the future. Now, obviously the goal, and when I talk to athletes about this, and when I talk to teams of athletes about this, I ask them, where does your mind need to be of those three places? Where does your mind need to be to perform at your best? And of course, the answer is the present moment. So this exercise, Set It on the Shelf, is actually going to help you recognize certainly when you're distracted. We also worked on that in Count Your Breathing, but also to help you identify, where has your focus gone? Has it gone to the past? Has it gone to the future? Because if it's no longer in the moment, we need to be able to develop the ability to recognize when it's not there, where has it gone, and then can I recognize that and then redirect my mind back to the moment that it needs to be in, obviously the present moment. This is where that shelf comes in. So get your pen and your paper. You can use the same one that you use for the Count Your Breathing exercise, because of course we don't want to waste paper. And you're going to start with a horizontal line anywhere on that sheet of paper. And then you're going to want to divide that horizontal line into 3 equal segments with 2 vertical lines. And now we have our shelf. Now underneath that horizontal line, working from left to right in those 3 separate segments that you've divided out for yourself, you're going to want to go past on the left, present in the middle, and future on the right. So once you have those shelves built, I want you to find a relatively quiet place, an environment that you're familiar with, and I want you to try and immerse yourself as much in that environment as you can. And what I mean by that is I want you to try and keep your mind as much in that, either if it's a room or if it's a certain space, keep your mind as much as you can in that moment. So you can notice things that you see, that you hear, that you smell, that you taste. What do you feel in that moment? I want you to try and immerse yourself as much as you can. But as we saw from Count Your Breathing, your mind's going to wander. The natural state of our mind is to wander. So when your mind wanders to anything outside of that room, anything outside of the present moment, maybe you think about what happened, something that happened earlier that day, earlier that week, earlier that month. If that happens, your mind is then wandered to the past, and all you do is you recognize that, you put a tally on the past shelf, and then you immediately bring your mind back to the moment. Likewise, if your mind wanders to something that happens later that week, or something that you have to do later that day, or later that week, or later that month, I want you to do the same thing. Put a tally mark on the future portion of the shelf, on the top there, on the future shelf, and then we redirect our mind back to the moment. Now do this for about 10 minutes. When your mind wanders, recognize where it's gone, put it on the shelf, and then bring it back. Now, this incredibly simple little exercise has a bunch of different benefits, but the one that we're going to specifically target today with it is how efficient, I use that word intentionally, how efficient can we start to handle distractions? Because you as an athlete or you as a performer, your ability to focus is really about, again, how deeply can we engage in a moment or in a task, but then also how efficiently can we handle those distractions that take our mind away from that moment. So you need to be able to recognize, hey, am I distracted? If so, where is my mind gone? All right, let me recognize that. Leave whatever's there. Leave whatever's in the future. Leave whatever's in the past, and bring your mind back to something in that moment. And we do this over and over again, and we start to recognize that we're training our mind. You're training your mind to be more in the moment and to be that much better at recognizing when it's not, but also showing yourself that you have the ability to refocus. Do this for about 10 minutes a day, and I think you're going to be really, really impressed with some of the things that you start to notice as you start to perform more and as you start to gain more control over your focus. All right, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, hit that thumbs up button. It really goes a long way to helping this video reach as many people that it could help as possible. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and of course, get over there to trainwithperk.com/free guide to get your hands on that free guide that's really going to help you prepare for your next big moment. I'll see you next time.